Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to talk about my PCOS story. I posted a video 2 years ago now about my PCOS story, and I got so many positive responses from it. I got so many comments saying that people were worried they might have the same thing, or things like that, and people were honestly so lovely about it. It was quite a scary thing to do, to talk about something so personal. So thank you to anyone that's watched that video. Today is going to be the second part of that video. It's taken me a long time to do this, to be honest with you, because I felt kind of embarrassed, to be honest. I'm just gonna go straight in with it. So I basically got misdiagnosed with PCOS. If you haven't seen the first part of my story, I recommend that you go and watch that first. I will put a link up here so that you can click that and go and give that a watch, so that you kind of understand the journey that I've been on. Before I tell you this second part, I have made some notes in my phone, so please excuse me if I do look at those. But like I said, this happened quite a while ago, and it's taken me some time for it to kind of sink in and for me to not feel so silly about it, I guess. I shouldn't, but I couldn't, that's just the way that I felt at the time. So I'm going to tell you what happened. I got diagnosed with PCOS maybe 2.5, 3 years ago. I struggled with really bad pains. I had irregular periods, and like I said in my previous video, ever since I started my period, there was issues with my hormone levels and my female parts, basically. So yeah, I got diagnosed with PCOS, had scans done, tests done, got diagnosed with it, and it was kind of a relief, to be honest, at first, because it makes you feel like, oh, okay, I wasn't just imagining this stuff. Something is actually wrong. That's why I'm feeling these things, and this stuff's happening to my body. There is a reason for it. But then it kind of sinks in all of the side effects and stuff like that that comes with it, that I'd already been living with, but that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life. And one of the biggest things for me was infertility, which PCOS can cause. Now, I've seen a lot, and I mean a lot, of successful stories of women who have got PCOS and have had several children. So firstly, don't panic about that. It was a massive worry for me, and when I got diagnosed, that was the biggest thing for me, and the specialist said to me, you don't need to worry about that. When you come to cross that bridge, we will figure it out. So firstly, don't panic. There are ways around everything nowadays. There are so many things that people can do to help you, so don't panic. Fast forward a little bit, and I went to see my doctor. I can't remember why I went to see my doctor, but something was wrong, and I went to see my doctor, and she'd asked me something, and I told her, no, she asked me if anyone in my family had PCOS. And I said, not that I'm aware of, but I have been diagnosed with it. And she said, okay. And then proceeded to tell me how difficult it was going to be for me to have children and all of this stuff. And I went to this doctor's appointment on my own because it was in the middle of the day. So I left work and I went on my own. And I got back home, and my mum and dad got back home from work, and it was just it was so unsensitive, the way that she spoke to me. I must have only been 20, 21 at the time, but I've always been like a bit older than my age, and because I'd been in a relationship with Ryan for so long, children was closer than maybe people think that they would be. So she really scared me, to be honest, told me how difficult it was going to be for me to have children and that I'd need help, I wouldn't be able to do it naturally, and all of this stuff. And my mum came home from work and I just cried. I just cried and cried and cried. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I feel like I've been put on this earth to be a mum, to have children, to raise children. Now, that doesn't mean that just because you're not pregnant, you don't give birth to a child, that you're not a mum. That's not the case. But when somebody tells you that you might not be able to have your own children, that's difficult, and that's a hard pill to swallow, to be honest. So I was really, really upset. My mum and dad were amazing. My dad was like, if you need to have a baby now, have one now, we'll deal with it. Because basically the later you leave it, the more difficult it can be. So that was where we were at. And I have been on the pill ever since I started my period when I was 14 years old. I do also have a My First Period story. If you want to have a look at that, I'll link it down below. But basically my period started and didn't stop. So from the word go, I've had problems with my hormones and stuff. So I wasn't sure what to do, because when you are on the pill for a long time and you come off it, it takes a while for your body to adjust and to go back to normal, I suppose. But I've never had a normal. I've always been on the pill. I came off it for, I think, about 6 months, and I had my period every 2 months, not every one. So I was worried about whether being on the pill was making it was causing more damage than what it was actually doing, if that makes sense. I didn't know whether me being on the pill for such a long time was going to cause more problems. So I wanted to get a second opinion. I have private medical insurance with my work, so I went back through that and I got a second opinion. So I went in to see another specialist and I spoke to her about my diagnosis before and what symptoms I felt like I had and stuff that I'd struggled with, and she took some tests and she booked me in for an ultrasound. That's how they found out that I had PCOS originally, was by an ultrasound, and they showed me the follicles on my cysts. So that's how they diagnosed me, was through an ultrasound. So she booked me in for another ultrasound. She looked at me and kind of said, you don't look like the type of person to have PCOS. You are slim, you don't have excess body hair, like all stuff like that. The only real symptom for me was irregular periods. So she, from the beginning, I think, thought, you don't have this. And I think she knew that. But she went through the tests anyway. She did all the tests. I had another ultrasound and I went back in and she said, look, you have no symptoms. There's nothing on your scan. You don't have PCOS. And I was like, and obviously I was like, okay, that's amazing, like that's great news that I don't have it. And she said, if you do struggle having children for whatever reason, then come back and, we can do stuff to help you, etc. And I left and I had that appointment with my mum. And I left and I cried because I felt really stupid. Like, I lived in fear for a good couple of years, thinking that I had PCOS and that I'm going to struggle to have children and that it's not going to be easy for us. For someone to turn around to me in half an hour and say, you don't have that, that's wrong. So I cried because I was like, I feel stupid. Like, I've recorded a video, like, everyone thinks I've got PCOS, everyone's going to think I was lying. Like, all of this stuff goes through your head. And I think now, even now, I'm still worried about it. Despite being told that I don't have PCOS, I still worry that we're going to struggle having children. And it's kind of the stuff that you think, like, I sat and recorded my last video on PCOS and I told you all about all these symptoms that I had that now all made sense, and now all of a sudden they don't again. It's very strange and uncertain, but like I said, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, doctors get things wrong as well. It just is what it is, and I suppose it's something that I'm not going to know until we try and have children. But that was the biggest thing for me, and I also felt like I'd been like lying, because people were then, after I posted my video, for a long time after that, people were sending me messages and they were asking me questions, and they were saying, I think I might have this, what do I do? And I was trying to give them advice and kind of say, you know, go and see your doctor, go and see a specialist. But deep down knowing that I went and did that and it was wrong anyway. So it was hard, to be honest. And I struggled for a while because I just couldn't really get my head around what was happening and what I'd just been told. So, yeah, that's kind of the second half of my story and my misdiagnosis with PCOS. I hope that no one is mean because I didn't know. At the end of the day, I got told something by a specialist and I thought it was right for several years. And when it turns out it's not, you don't really know what to do. And that's why it took me so long to do this video, because I didn't want anyone to think that I was making it up or whatever, because it was just wrong. So I was told I had it, but I don't have it. Which obviously, it's a weird, I don't know how to describe like my feelings, because I'm obviously grateful and happy that I don't have it. But at the same time, it gives you an answer. And then the answer kind of gets like taken away again. I don't know if that makes sense at all. I really hope that makes sense, and anyone that is struggling, I'm sorry, and I know that I don't have it, but I'm always here. My DMs are always open if you want to talk to me about it, or anything for that matter. I'm always here. And the biggest bit of advice I can give is to go to specialists, which may sound a bit hypocritical considering my diagnosis was wrong, but At the end of the day, they are specialists for a reason, and some people make mistakes sometimes, and that's just how it is. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and thank you all for your continued support over the years. If you have something nice to say, then please put it in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Much love.